Welcome to the Academy of Adoption and Assisted Reproduction Attorneys. This video today, we're covering the state of Indiana, and we've got Joel with us who will be able to introduce us to that state. But first, Joel, tell us about yourself.
Okay, my name is Joel Kirsch. I'm from the great state of Indiana. I've been practicing law now for, whoosh, this is going to make me feel really old, but for 37 years. I have a beautiful wife, Holly, and 3 wonderful children. We've been married in June. It'll be 34 years. We met at a health club. I wanted to meet her. I took her, she was teaching fitness classes, and I wanted to meet her, so I took her class. We went on one date. On that first date, I knew I wanted to marry her. We got engaged 4 months to the day after our first date, and we just are getting ready to celebrate our 34th anniversary. So the other ironic twist about that is my mom passed away when I was 16. Many people who knew my mom, that know my wife Holly, say they look alike, they have lots of similarities, and they have the same birthday. So it's just, it's just a sign from above that she was meant to be my wife. And we have 3 wonderful children. Trevor, Olivia, and Harrison. We have 2 very energetic dogs, and I have been helping out with adoptions and assisted reproductive technology cases, surrogacy cases for about 35 years. So I love what I do. I used to handle divorces when I first became an attorney. I wasn't very good at being an adversarial type person, so adoption is just perfect for me, but helping people grow their families through surrogacies and other types of family creation matters are just perfect for my personality. So thanks for having me, Kim.
You're welcome. Well, being that I am not licensed in the state of Indiana, I know people are kind of flipping through our videos, trying to find out more information. So is just in big picture, is Indiana a go-to state for assisted reproduction?
Well, first of all, don't be scared by Indiana.
That's the lesson. Yes.
Okay, that's the biggest lesson. Indiana has an outdated old school law that was passed in 1988. It says that surrogacy agreements are void as being against public policy. And that scares a lot of people away, but don't be scared by it because we are able to work around the statute. We cannot facilitate arrangements. We cannot write contracts because the contracts aren't recognized as being valid or legally enforceable. But we do have a workaround in Indiana. We have, and it also depends on the county where you are. We happen to be in a county that's very family creation friendly, adoption and surrogacy friendly. Because I've been practicing law so long, I've been able to talk specifically directly with some of the judges in our county, and they are very open to making Indiana a very friendly state to gestational surrogacies and gestational carrier arrangements. So absolutely, don't be scared by Indiana.
Okay, so there's a workaround. So where should people start if they are looking at Indiana?
Okay. Well, because of our statute, the easiest arrangement that can be made is for if a family locates a carrier in Indiana, is to be from a state that a contract can be written under that defines the rights of the parties. So, for example, I use Illinois because they're right next door. But any other state that is surrogacy friendly, that has a statute or allows gestational carrier arrangements to be done and contracts to be written, if the intended parents are from that state and the contract is written under the laws of the state that define the rights of the parties. So for example, Illinois says that the intended parents are the legal parents regardless of the genetic combination. So contract is written under Illinois law. There's a carrier in Indiana. I can absolutely obtain a pre-birth order from our Indiana court, which makes the intended parents the legal parents.
Okay, and would that apply for members of the LGBTQ community also?
Absolutely. As long as the state under which the contract is written defines the rights of those parties, So regardless of gender, regardless of anything else, as long as that contract is written under the laws, and I use Illinois just because they're right next door, that if the contract and the law in Illinois, for example, says that the intended parents are the legal parents, there's no problem here in Indiana.
Okay. And so that's mostly having to do with surrogacy or gestational carrier matters, right?
Yes.
Is it just as difficult on the embryo donation or egg donation front?
We don't have a lot of those. And to be quite honest, Kim, I don't have much experience with those types of cases. So I would say it would be, as long as the intended parents are the legal parents and there's court recognition of that, then we can obtain the necessary orders in Indiana.
Okay. And so once you're able to get the order, once the baby's born, is your birth certificate process complicated?
No, actually what will happen is during the pregnancy, we'll get information from the intended parents and the gestational carrier. We'll prepare we call it a joint petition for declaratory judgment. And all the parties sign it. That's why it's a joint petition. Mm-hmm. And then we submit that to our court. The court issues a declaratory judgment order, which specifically identifies the intended parents as the legal parents. Then part of my services will be to contact the hospital where the baby will be born. I'll provide a copy of that court order to the contact person at the hospital. And then I will also simultaneously contact the Indiana State Department of Health, provide them a courtesy copy of the order so that all the entities that need to complete the birth information have a copy of the order. Okay. And then the birth certificate will be issued directly from the Indiana State Department of Health. It does not identify gender on the birth certificate. It will just say that the child is the child of so-and-so if it's a single parent, or so-and-so and so-and-so. That's not really their names, but right. It's identified as the people who are the legal parents.
Okay. So with this process in Indiana, when do you recommend that people get a hold of you to start working on it in Indiana?
Okay. So a lot of people call before they've set up the arrangement. And I always tell them that there are attorneys in Indiana that will write contracts. I just happen to take the position that I don't want to be involved in writing a contract that I know is not enforceable or legally recognized. Ethically, that's the challenge that I have. I don't want to be in that position because I don't feel that it's right to charge somebody a fee if they're going to write a contract that's not enforceable. So if they contact me before the arrangement's made, I identify the fact that Indiana has that statute that is that says contracts are void. I tell them to seek out legal advice in their home state, or if there's a connection to a state that has a relationship with the arrangement. So you live in Nevada, is that correct?
Yeah, so ours is a broad jurisdiction rule. Yeah.
Okay. So, but there has to be, in my court, there has to be some connection or some nexus, legal term, to the state under which the contract is written. So intended parents in Nevada, for example, gestational carrier in Indiana, perfect.
So Nevada allows if you just use the fertility clinic in Nevada, would that work for Indiana?
Yes. Okay. Yes, as long as there's some connection. So we couldn't have a fertility clinic in California, intended parents in Nevada. Well, there has to be some connection.
In California's got the same rule, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, so are there any groups like single intended parents or non-genetically related that have to worry if they use that process?
No, as long as the contract is written under that laws of that state, and if the birth were to occur in that state, what would happen? So one of the attachments to the petition that I prepare is generally a letter from the attorney in the state under which the contract was written. And I have a template, basically. I provide that letter to the attorney, and the attorney writes a letter saying, this is the law, the contract was written under this state's law, and if the birth were to occur in this state, this is what would happen. I can then put that as an attachment to our petition. Our judge will sign the order.
Okay. And how quickly after a birth are you getting the birth certificate? Because, you know, everybody wants to know that, especially if they're international.
That's a great question. And I really
we always had $1 for every time we were asked, right?
Right. It's a wild card. We also handle adoptions, and it's taking in an adoption after the adoption is completed about 90 days. But we're also talking about an original birth certificate. So the hospital completes the birth information in the name of the intended parents. So seemingly, I can't make any promises, but seemingly the birth certificate would be issued in a much shorter time because it's the original birth certificate.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. In an adoption, we have to change the birth certificate. With this, the court order specifies that the hospital will complete all birth information and birth certificates in the name of the intended parent. So it should be shorter.
I think all these states need to start passing laws just that you pay more money, you get them faster.
Right.
I mean, it's a revenue source for them, but you know. I
totally agree. They do that with DNA tests. They do that with passports.
Yeah.
So I agree that there should be a way to speed that up. But I would say it's going to be a shorter period of time, definitely, than an adoption.
Okay, great. So one last question for you. Is there benefit to you of being a member of the Academy when doing these matters?
Absolutely, because it's just a reliable source of people that I know that are ethical, they're knowledgeable, they're friendly like you are. But it's just nice to know that if you're reaching out to an Academy member, they have to have a certain level of experience to be in the Academy, and they have to meet ethical guidelines. So I love working with Academy members. It's really my only source of people to go to.
Well, and it's critical for Indiana to have those other states to work with. So
absolutely.
All right. For everybody listening, if you'd like to get a hold of Joel and get his contact information, you can go to the Academy's website. We have a map on that website. You can break it down by state. And when you go to Indiana, you will see his contact information. You can even directly message him there. The Academy's website is www.adoptionart.org. And please get a hold of Joel. You'll need him. You can't do this on your own, I promise. And thank you so much, Joel, for sharing the information on Indiana with us.
Well, and I'm so happy to have the opportunity to do so. It's great seeing your face. I haven't seen you in person in a while, but thank you so much for having me.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Have a great day.